Hi, I'm Karina Boxnick. I'm the State 4-H Camping Coordinator in Arkansas, and we're fixing to do our second virtual camp video. So if you'll take a look on the supplies that we need, we are going to do dot mandalas today. So you'll need some kind of surface. It can be one of these little canvases, or it can be anything you want to put it on. Small, big, it's totally up to you. You'll also need some acrylic paint. I've chosen to use 3 colors. You can use however many colors you would like. Something to put your paint in, possibly, and some dotting tools. I'm going to show you the tools we're going to use here in a second. A damp rag, and then later on, after you're totally finished, you might want to put some kind of clear finishing spray on it, but that again is up to you. There's all kinds of dotting tools out there. What we're going to use today is stuff you can find around the house. So I'm going to use a pencil. I'm going to use the eraser end. Ideally a good flat surface, and I'm also going to use the writing end. I've got this one sharpened to make some smaller dots. We're going to also use Q-tips. For one of them, I'm going to use the ends with the cotton still on it, and for another end, I'm going to use just the stick. So I've taken the cotton off of that end, and you can even do it where you take some of the cotton off to have kind of an in-between type tool, but that is, again, totally up to you and the size dots that you would like. But for this stick end, all I did was I took the cotton off, and I have been using it a little bit, and they are totally reusable. You don't have to throw them away in between. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to put a canvas down here, and what I've done is I've drawn a guideline for me between the 2 corners, or in all 4 corners. What that does is it helps me find center. Sometimes I will even draw guidelines from each of the sides. And if you have a compass or something that will make round circles, you can add round circles to help keep you in a circular pattern. But I'm going to stick with these 4 corner to corner lines just to kind of help me get started. So you can dump your paint into a tray. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to squeeze it until it comes up. I'm going to use my eraser first. I'm just going to kind of dunk it in there, and then I'm going to just gently dot right there in the middle. And if it doesn't take all the paint, you can just kind of repress it until it does. So then I'm going to wipe my pencil off because I'm done with that one for just a minute. So this time I'm going to use the Q-tip with the cotton still attached. I think I'm going to go with the orange. And to kind of help me get started, I'm going to put a dot on each of the lines, kind of roughly the same distance from my center green dot. And in between each dot, I'm going to re-dip my paint. That way I have the same amount of paint and the dots should be roughly the same size. And if you get a little bit off, that's okay. They're all going to be unique. Now, I'm going to do the same thing in between each of the dots. That'll kind of give me a circular perimeter around my center green dot. Re-dipping each time into the paint. And on this one, you can't wipe it real well just because it is a cotton, but you can dab it to get your excess paint off of there. That way you can reuse it. So for this next one, I am going to use my Q-tip stick. And where I'm going to go is I'm going to go in between each of those orange dots, and I'm going to use this pink paint. And I am going to re-dip into my paint in between each of the dots. I'm just eyeballing it, trying to stay roughly in the same distance in between. Like I said, if I get a little bit off, that's okay. All right, cleaning off my stick. I'm going back with the big dot, which is my pencil eraser. And I'm gonna go with green again. And now I'm gonna go in between each of the pink dots with my green big dots. So I'm using the eraser, dipping it into my paint, and then going in between my pink dots. I'm gonna go back on my lines first just to kind of get myself lined back up. And I'm re-dipping each time. All right, cleaning off my pencil eraser. So we're gonna get a little bit more complicated. I'm gonna use my writing end of the pencil for this next one. I'm gonna go with orange. So this time we're not gonna re-dip every time. We're gonna dip, do a dot, and kind of continue around the edge, making smaller dots as we go. And then once we get around one side, we're gonna re-dip, do the center dot again, and then work our way around the other side. So I've dipped, I'm gonna do a dot, and then I'm gonna do smaller dots. And it'll make smaller dots all on its own. And I'm gonna keep track of how many dots I did so I can try to get roughly the same amount of dots on each one. So when I re-dipped, I'm doing my center dot, and then I had 4, so I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's gonna make a lace pattern kind of around each of your dots. So I'm gonna turn my canvas here so I can get straight with all of these. So I'm re-dipping, center dot, and then dotting around. I'm re-dipping, I'm doing my center dot, and then I'm dotting on around. So I've re-dipped, I'm doing my center dot, and then I'm dotting on around. I'm re-dipping, the center dot, and then dotting on around. I re-dipped, center dot, and then dotting on around. Re-dipped, center dot, and then dotting on around. I'm going to do each of the green dots the same way. Last one, I re-dipped, center dot, and then dot on around. Re-dip, center dot, and then dot on around. All right, I'm gonna clean off my lead. So I'm gonna do pink next, and we're gonna do the same process again. I'm gonna go just outside my orange dots. So I'm dipping, doing a center dot, and then dotting on around. Re-dipping, center dot, and then dotting on around. I'm re-dipping my center dot and then dot on around. Re-dipping, center dot, and then dotting on around. And I'm going to do that the same way for each of those green and orange dots. So we've just finished our last pink dot going around all of our green and orange. So some other things that you can do is you can add top dots to some of your larger dots. And we will do that right now. So I'm going to take my orange and in my center green dot, I'm going to add a little bit smaller dot. So I'm going to use my Q-tip. I'm going to grab some paint. And make sure when you do this, you do it after your paint is totally dry. Because if it's not dry, it's just going to blend together and make a big mess. I'm going to go right there in the middle. It didn't quite dot good. So I'm going to clean it up just a little bit. So you can do that to any of your dots that you would like. I'm going to clean up my Q-tip. So that should get you started on some basics. You can make this as large or as small as you would like. You can add more petals to the outside, or you can add more dots and kind of continue doing that. And if you have any gaps in there that you think you need to fill in, that's totally up to you guys. It's your project, so be as creative as you would like. So once you finished or completely finished, you can go in and erase your lines. You can either use an eraser or you can just take your rag. And make sure you do it after your paint's dry and just kind of wipe them off. And if for some reason they don't clean up, you can go with whatever your base color was and just paint over them to make sure you don't have any lines. So like this one, I used a chalk pencil on a black background, and I can just go in and wipe it off with a wet rag now that all my paint is dry. And if there's any sections, I can go back in and kind of just clean it up with whatever my base coat was. In this case, it would be black. So once you're completely done and have all of your lines cleaned up, if you would like to put a clear finish on it, you can do that. Mod Podge might work as well. You'll just have to give it a shot. So that concludes our second session. So stay tuned for more virtual camp projects. Thank you.